Good morning. There you are. Welcome to Zen Fits here in Blackstone, Virginia. I'm back after a little vacation. I just give talks when I got a compulsion, this urge. I got to give birth to something. It's time. So let's give birth to this. The title of this talk is Pat Robinson and Martin Luther. Pat Robinson and Martin Luther. Pat Robinson just died at 93. And good Lord, I remember Pat Robinson because, I was, an adult in the 70s, and I remember when he first came on, and I also remember the conditions in which Pat Robinson was able to grow his 700 Club and Christian news, cable TV. Before cable TV, there was the trinity of the three networks. And there was ABC, CBS, and NBC. And they were all reporting the same news. You just like the anchors. Oh, I like, Brent Huntley and Brentley, or Concrete, or whatever. The anchors changed, the flavor, but the news was the same. It was objective out there in all the newspapers, in all the radio, in all the TV, the three networks reported on the same events from the same point of view. And this point of view is the viewpoint of the modern world that was established by Newton, Descartes, Copernicus, Darwin, all the great founding fathers of the modern scientific world, which has provided all of our comforts, and the TV and the computer and the Facebook and all of this that we communicate with is all a product of the modern objective world. The world is out there, and if you understand how something works, the laws, you can make a computer. And you can fix the computer if you understand the laws of the computer. That's the modern world. It's objective, and it's rational. There's no magic. There's no genie. There's no devil. There's no God. There's no old man in the sky manipulating the world like puppets or something. It's all rational. It's all logical. This is our common sense world. We don't question it. We do it all the time. All the lights turn green, and we say, "Oh, thank you, God," as if God is up there turning the lights green just for me. Just for me. So this old man in the sky that we still pretend is there, when it comes to, do you really believe God changed that light for you? Just for you? Well, yeah. But anyways, we suspend science so we can believe in God. Go to a movie. In order to enjoy the movie, you have to suspend the belief that the movie is not real. We know the movie's not real. What's real is me sitting in the audience eating popcorn, talking to my friend. That's real. Then the movie comes on. Well, I suspend the disbelief in the movie being, I always get this confused, but the disbelief in the movie. Because unless we suspend that disbelief, we can't enjoy the movie. If we don't suspend that disbelief and jump into the movie as if it were real, we don't like the movie. We spend the whole time in the movie looking at our watch. When can I get out of this stupid movie? Look at that. Isn't that fake? Oh, look at that stupid thing. Why do they say that? This is the stupidest. We have not suspended disbelief. We know this is a fake movie. A good example of that is that I remember in the old movie theaters, boy, am I getting far off now. Must be pin-up talk here. In the old movie theaters, if there was a tear in the screen, they wouldn't fix it. And you go to the movie, and you would see that tear in the screen while Tom Mix and Roy Rogers were running around, and you see that tear, and you would know it's not real. It would break the suspension of disbelief, Anyway, so Pat Robertson created a suspension of disbelief in the networks. In other words, the network news, ABC, CBS, CBC, presented a viewpoint of reality that nobody questioned. It's like a movie. The world is real out there. There's no God in it. There's no source of universal meaning. There's no center. It's like a pond with no fountain. In other words, the modern world has no center. Where can you go? And it's expanding or shrinking. You zoom out, you can go forever. Zoom in, you can go forever inside, into the body, into the cells, into the molecules, into the blood vein. We like all these little trips, zooming in, zooming out, but still the world is out there. There's no center. You and I are just like ants in this world. So it has no meaning. Has no meaning. Now, why is Pat Robertson Martin Luther? Boy, I have hot flashes and cool flashes, so now I'm having a hot flash. So I'll take this off. I'm getting an insight here. So Martin Luther, well, I'm really connecting dots. I'm sorry, hang in there. Martin Luther is a metaphorical end to the Middle Ages in the Holy Roman Catholic Church, where there is only one view of reality for 1,000 years. The Middle Ages was a faith-based reality. Science is a reason-based reality. So Martin Luther, basically, we're just looking at this kind of metaphorically here, basically challenged and questioned the Holy Roman Empire's view of reality as one big church, and created a reformation of individual churches, individual viewpoints. So every church, and this is of course what the Catholic Church feared would happen, if you break up the Catholic Church, you're going to have individual viewpoints. And suddenly the Protestant religion broke up into denominations, each one with its own viewpoint. So now we've got hundreds of different viewpoints, most of them agreeing to live together after the religious wars of Europe, But so anyway, this Martin Luther and Pat Robertson, I equate together as somebody taking a hammer to a monolithic viewpoint. Now, Martin Luther took a hammer to the monolithic Catholic Holy Roman Church, and Martin Luther and Pat Robertson took a hammer to the Holy Trinity of the networks and the objective scientific world as a single viewpoint. You get the thing here? Please, that the modern world is a viewpoint, that reality is made of things, and it's outside there, and you're just a visitor who comes in at birth and death, but the world stays the same when you're gone. This is a viewpoint of the modern world. And it's rational. There's no magic in it. There are no genies. You see, there are no unicorns. It's evidence-based, empirical-based. And so Pat Robertson, kind of a metaphorical Martin Luther, created by the conditions of the time. Now, the conditions that created Pat Robertson's revolution or reformation was cable news and televangelism. Televangelism, remember James Baker and all these televangelists, they created electronic churches. First you have a physical mega church, which is like a big church, but then you have an electronic church, which is huge, and it's a cash cow. All these people donate 10, 20, and just money pours in, Remember, and they corrupted them, like James Baker got corrupted and kicked out, and who was the other guy that sinned, and they all sin and get caught, and they cry on church and all that, and it's still going on. These mega churches, these televangelists are buying airplanes and whatever, living in mansions. It's a cash cow. So Pat Robertson was a televangelist, but he didn't create a church. He created a secular church. He called it the 700 Club. So he introduced or injected religion into the secular news of the Trinity, of the ABC, CBS, of MEC. You see? So now you got four. You got the network here, all projecting and talking about the objective world, and Pat Robertson comes and talks about the objective world from a subjective viewpoint. He's talking about the objective world, reporting on the news from the viewpoint of the Bible, which is subjective. You see. The Bible is not objective, although a lot of people think it is, and that's the problem we have with the Bible. We think the Bible is about history. That's objective. It's subjective. It's about values. It's about values, not facts, but values. But the Bible uses facts metaphorically to tell the story of values. So in the modern world, we get it all confused. You see, we think there's only the objective world, and so we want to have values. So we're going to enter. So we got the 3BS, the three networks, the Trinity, reporting on the objective world. But we want value. We want meaning. There's no meaning in that. See, there's no center. So Pat Robertson injects a biblical point of view, a center, and puts God back in history. Puts God and Jesus on the throne, you see. So now, news is meaningful when it refers to God. So if we want to know what's true on Pat Robertson's channel, if you want to know what's true, well, you ask the Bible. You don't ask science. You ask the Bible. Is it in the Bible? What is the meaning of this war? What is the meaning of this history? What is the meaning of these events, you see? Well, the three networks are going to give you an objective, rational meaning, but the 700 Club is going to give you an alternative meaning that is subjective. That means this makes you, your group, your chosen people, your denomination, your religion, the center. You get to tell what's meaning in the world, not those science. What do they know? So in other words, it made Pat Robertson inserted a subjective viewpoint into an objective modern world. In the opposite way, where the Middle Ages was a subjective view of the world, and science was an objective view of the world that replaced the Middle Ages. Middle Ages, it was a faith culture, faith civilization. Science is a rational civilization. Faith, science. These are incompatible ingredients. It's like it's martini glass. You put here's the secular monkey, reason, belief in reason, empirical evidence, objective world, and then here's the subjective monkey who believes in truth is subjective. Truth is what feels right. Truth is what feels right to me. So these monkeys don't mix. They just go round and around and around and around and around, chasing each other like a dog chasing its tail. And it accelerates. Goes faster, 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 like a mic in an amplifier. The monkey's chasing the tail, the subjective chasing the objective. Goes round and around and around because they don't mix. But they're in the same glass. They can't go off, So take Mormonism or the Amish or some of these little Christian sects, They were subjective views of the world. Well, they left society. The Amish, they left. They created their own community. The Mormons left. I'm going to Utah. Fuck you. But the evangelicals stayed in the secular world. So they want to take over, they want to make the secular world, the secular world, faith world, by going to war with it inside it. They don't leave. They stay in it to fight. This is the great war, you see. And it just goes round and around and around and around and around, you see, because it can't mix. You can't mix the subjective and the objective world together and come up with anything that's functional. You end up with viewpoints that are at war with each other. This is the society becomes a war of religious wars, which is what's happening now, because the GOP, the religious right, you see, that Pat Robertson helped create, the religious right, the religious Republicans, who invited the Baptists and the evangelicals into the Republican Party, and so it's created a wing of the Republican Party that is dominant now, but it's a secular religion. And this, in order to break out of this dilemma of the monkeys going around and round and round, Trump was created. You see, the conditions created Trump, just like the conditions of cable and televangelism created Pat Robertson. Of course, Trump created himself, but at the same time, conditions allowed Trump to exist as a secular savior, a secular Messiah who would come and restore unity. Trump didn't come to restore God to the world. That was Pat Robertson's job. But Trump came to restore the subjective viewpoint to the secular world. And that subjective viewpoint is the viewpoint of a chosen people. So the Trumpers, you see, feel that they are chosen people, just like the Jews were the chosen people, that God chose them over the other things. So the Trumpers are metaphorical Jews, in the sense that they believe they are the chosen people, and that what they feel is what they feel is truth is true because I feel it. That's subjective. This is true because I feel it's true, not because I check the evidence out, impersonal evidence. No. I know this is true because I feel it. But I'm not alone. I've got a group. I've got a group here. So the Trump rally was really an evangelical revival. Trump rallies are revivals, old-time revivals, you see. Okay, I've talked too much here, but anyway, the idea here is that Pat Robertson, now dead at 93, was the founding father of the religious right and political evangelicalism. Political evangelical, and it's a toxic martini. Anyway, we're all kind of drunk on it. Anyway, thanks for dropping in. I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow. If I get the urge, I'll see you again. Thanks for dropping in.